Yeah, so my relationship with nature, you know, I mean, everyone sees, you know, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So we whatever we see is according to our, you could say, our training, our and our consciousness and our conditioning. So for example, you know, there's a mountain, you know, okay, so I see it as a place where I'm gonna have like a, you know, a foot race, an orienteering race around the mountain. I see it as a you know, place to perform sports. A farmer, he's keeping his sheep on that same mountain. He sees it as a place where he's grazing his sheep, you know. And then, you know, the guy who works for the water board, he sees it as his water catchment area. So everyone sees it differently. But yeah, I got into paganism and druidry, and so I began to see nature as a place where, I mean, particularly a mountain, as where the gods reside. You know, the gods reside on a mountain, you know, at the top, you know, and that's what that's how they what they believe in Hinduism as well. Is that people? I mean, I think the Sherpas, for example, they won't go to the top of Mount Everest or any of the other Himalayan peaks because they say the gods reside there. I'm not going there, and they'll stop short of the summit. But yeah, there's that's how they see it, as a place where gods reside. But also, I began to see nature as I began to see nature in a different light, rather than a place of leisure, you know, where you would go walking with my family, you know, walking to the Lake District, you know, we did the Fairfield Horseshoe that's a little village, Ambleside, you know, it's a famous area for people to go walking. And the Cumbria, the Lake District, the English Lake District it's a famous tourist area. A lot of people go there, and they go. It's a leisure pastime. You know, people are working. Their life is departmentalized. You know, I've got work time, and then I've got leisure time. They put other departments of in categorization of their time, their life, and so for many people, going to a beautiful scenic area, an area of natural beauty, the Cumbrian Lake District, is a leisure activity to help them relax and enjoy, and you know, we go for a nice walk, you know, around the mountains, and that was but then that was how I also perceived nature is something that you look but you don't touch. This kind of mentality, this kind of understanding. It was when I was in Sweden on my gap year that I was introduced to foraging, which for me the first time, well, what happened was I was in the park with a Swedish family, and they started speaking in Swedish, and then all of a sudden they ripped all the flowers off this bush, about 20 or 30 flower heads. They ripped them all off, and I was shocked, because I was like, you know, nature is something you look at but you don't touch. And you know, my dad had even chastised me one time for picking some wild flowers. You know, no, leave them for everybody to enjoy, you know. But here in Sweden, and typically across the whole country, there's a different concept of nature, a more interactive concept that you know, you can take from nature, but you can give something back as well, you know. So this different dynamic relationship with nature is also something which grew to become a spiritual understanding of nature. That a tree is a living entity, and even a river is a living thing. And I mean, I think we're getting into the realms of, I think it's called panpsychism, and other indigenous and tribal cultures share similar beliefs, you know, but these kind of concepts and beliefs are kind of long gone from the British Isles, you know. But you know, that doesn't mean that they're not true, you know. And especially as a student of philosophy, one thing I did learn at university, I mean, I skipped a lot of the classes because I was in the pub. I missed a lot of lectures. I managed to hand in my essays and pass the course, pass the exams, and I've got a rudimentary understanding of Western philosophy, but the one most significant thing I gained from studying philosophy at university was to have an open mind. And we had to really entertain and consider some really wild philosophies. I mean, I'm saying wild, not wild in the case of like naked people like running around a bonfire. I'm talking about wild in kind of like some like solipsism, for example, is the philosophy that, you know, I exist, you know, and my mind, I can accept the existence of my mind as being real, but everything that comes in through my senses, I can't confirm that it's actually real and it's actually happening. That, you know, I can't put my faith in that. You know, solipsism. It's kind of like
skepticism.
Yeah, very skeptical. Yeah, very skeptical, and faith in our own existence, but skeptical of anything else. So, for example, you know, if you're at a bar in a pub, you know, and you're like your friend is, you're there drinking a pint and having a chat, then you're like, well, I don't know if you actually really exist, you know. I mean, that's really, it's arrogant. It's offensive, you know. Yeah, what you could say is strange is that, you know, serious thinkers and, you know, prestigious academic philosophers take that kind of thing seriously, even though, you know, practically speaking, it is you could just reduce it to, well, selfish, self-centeredness, you know. But I mean, my point is that from studying philosophy, I've become very open-minded to entertain and enter into an understanding and learn about practically any kind of point of view, any philosophical position, or, you know, philosophy, religious belief, and, you know, I'm willing to learn about it, not just to poo-poo, dismiss, you know, like for example, like the Yeti, the Bigfoot, the Yeti. You mention like Bigfoot, Yeti to most people, ridiculous, hoax, no chance. But you know, maintaining like open-mindedness. Well, okay, let's hear what people have got to say about it, you know. And I'm not saying I believe in the Yeti. I'm not saying that I don't believe in the existence of the Yeti, the Bigfoot. I'm saying, well, I don't have sufficient evidence personally to sit on, you know, to make a statement either way. But I'm not going to, you know, commit myself to say no, there's no such thing, or yes, there is such a thing. But like, you know, you can hear what people do have to say, and there is some good evidence, you know. For example, you've got the Bigfoot in America. The Native Americans, they believe in the existence of the Bigfoot. And they've been living there in North America for thousands of, lot longer than the white men who've moved there. You know, the white men typically don't believe in the existence of the Yeti.
That's great. Can you come back to how you joined the monastery?
How I joined the monastery, yeah. Okay, so yeah, the Bigfoot. I wanted to find some kind of work, and so I met the monks, and I thought, okay, this is something I can believe in. I read the books of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, and I thought this is this organization, this religious organization is founded on the basis of these books by the man who has translated these books, And I thought, okay, so I want to work. I do want to you know, get my hands dirty. I do want to do something, and this is something that I can really you know, get into and commit myself to, and an organisation I can work for, you know. And yeah, and I remember sitting at home one evening, thinking about the problems of the world. You know, I'd watched some documentaries about some of the global economic injustices, the domination of the G8 over African nations, third world debt, basically, you know, slavery, colonialism continuing, just in a different form. You know, make it look nice, but still, you know, all of those coffee beans, all of that sugar, all from the sugar plantations, all of that, all those bananas are all getting shipped out of those third world countries, sent to America, sent to Europe. The situation really hasn't changed. I was feeling so angry and frustrated about some of these injustices, and to solve some of those problems, I was thinking about politics, you know, and extreme politics, like communism and anarchism. You know, I was reading in anarchism, but Noam Chomsky, I think he's an anarchist. But for me, I just felt that, you know, politics. You know, we have a general election in the UK every 4 years, and you know, who can even be bothered turning up to vote these days? Especially young people. It's a dead duck. Politics is a dead duck. You know, you supposedly get a choice. Democracy, you supposedly get a choice, you know, but you get to choose between, you know, 3 or 5 people, and you don't like any of them. You don't like any of them, and you think they're all, you know, in it for themselves. So I thought, well, politics isn't the answer. Politics isn't going to solve these problems. It isn't the solution to a lot of these problems in the world. What is really needed is some, you could say, religious. Religious is kind of like the external box, but what's inside the box is spirituality. We're talking about the genuine, sincere love, compassion, kindness for our fellow human beings. And for me, spirituality can help the world, because it's helping it's helping save the world one person at a time. It's about helping individuals, not government policy. It's a general policy that's, you know, maybe gonna either help people or make their life worse for thousands of people. They just make a broad cut in some kind of policy, some tax decision or something. So spirituality, it's really trying to help really trying to help people on an individual basis, and like I said before, you know, the acid test is wanting people to be happy, you know. So yeah, having thought, you know, that I'd like to try to help people spiritually, then the trick is how, you know, particularly with religion these days, a lot of people, they don't want to hear about religion. They've had enough of religion. There's so many wars being fought in particularly in Europe over religion. I mean, you've got problems in the Middle East with Muslims and Jews. You know, supposedly a religious war. I mean, you could say, well, is it religion or is it politics? You know, it's a good question to ask. There's you know, wars and in history between different denominations of Christianity, supposedly all following Christ, who turned the other cheek, who preached peace. But we see Christian denominations, Catholics, Protestants, other denominations going to war with each other in contradiction to Jesus' teachings. You know, is it a religious war, or is it really a political war? It's pretty obvious it's a political war, because it goes against the teachings of the founder of that religion. But for that reason, so many people, particularly in Scotland and in England, have had enough of religion. Also, you've got a terrible history of the suppression of pre-Christian religion, paganism, burning the witches at the stake. You know, these were ladies who were healing people with herbs. This was stamped out. So fanatical religion is certainly, dampened everyone's enthusiasm for any kind of religion, you know. But this is the challenge. This is the challenge that I'm trying to undertake as part of a wider community of Hare Krishna devotees, is to try to repopularize spirituality, religion, and to try to help people appreciate its value and its worth, not just in terms of a baseline foundation of moral and ethical behavior, but this is like a baseline. We're talking the greatest potential of the living being, to fulfill our the greatest yearning of the soul, to offer love and to receive love with God. This is what we're trying to share, what we're trying to teach. God is still God. He may have been given a bad name, but he still loves us. He still loves every single individual. He's with us. He's with us in our heart. He's accompanied us into this material realm because he has our best interests at heart. And so it's this battle for hearts and minds, convincing people of the value of religion, the worth of it, the benefits of worshipping God, of speaking to God, of communicating with God, of exchanging with Him, giving God gifts. Here it's Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, hearing. This is a Sanskrit verse from the ancient scriptures of India. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. So Shravanam means hearing, and Kirtanam means speaking. Vishnu, God. Vishnu is an Indian name of God, Sanskrit. So we can worship God just by hearing about Him, and we can worship Him by speaking about Him, So we can begin to serve God out of love by doing just these two things, by hearing about God and speaking about God. And when I was convinced that spirituality is really the only way we can really help others and help the world, then I was frustrated. Actually, I was frustrated with the economic and political injustices in the world, and I thought, well, I'm going to do something about that. I'm going to write down exactly what I found out about what's happening, about these African nations being exploited. I'm going to write that down on a piece of paper, print it out, make some flyers. I'm going to go pass it out in the street in my hometown, and in that way, everyone is going to know about these terrible injustices, because people deserve to know, people need to know that these terrible injustices are going on in our name, exploiting other nations, other countries, other people, other families and children. And I was thinking, okay, yeah, this is what I should do. I should kind of share this what's going on with this third world debt and problems like that. But then I thought, well, it's a negative message, and I pass out a flyer to a busy single mom. She's got a pram and 3 kids. She's not interested. She's not got time. So many people, they're in a rush. They're going down the street. They're going to the bank. They've got an hour off or less, half an hour off for their lunch hour. They've got to go to Greg's and get a pasty and get back. No, people don't really have the time. And it was just at that point in my life when I was thinking along these lines to kind of, give out propaganda, that I was going down the street, Chapel Street in Chorley, and I bumped into a Hare Krishna devotee. And he was doing just what I was thinking I should do. He was standing in the street passing out literature. he was giving out